Hey everybody, this is a quick video to explain how the new weakened condition works in the Mage board game. Before we get started, I'd like to say that there are 3 ways that I know about that people basically account for hit points. So first let's notice that Cormac, the half-elf cleric, has 8 hit points, and we'll walk through examples for this character. And the surge value is 4 hit points. So both the sequence of play card and the instructions on the healing surge talk about if your character has 0 hit points. So one way that people track that is that they put all their hit points on the card, and as the character takes damage, they remove the hit points. And so you can easily see when you get down to 0. Another way that people track the hit points is to add a hit point token whenever the character takes damage. So that may be something that you're used to from other games, but it kind of is a little bit different than the way that the instructions are written, because it's almost like you're adding up hit points rather than dropping down to 0. Now there's another way that you can deal with these. If you look at these tokens, they look like a shield, so you can kind of think of them as protection. And in the earlier games, the back of the shield was just black, but in the Mage, and perhaps some of the earlier other games, they have like a red splotch here, or almost like an explosion, and so you can think of this as damage. So some people flip over the tokens. So in this case, since Cormac has 8 hit points, whenever he takes damage, we just flip over the token, and you can see immediately how much damage and how much hit points are left. So now if you look at the weakened token, you can see that it has that red splotch or explosion kind of look, and that represents a kind of a damage. And if you flip it over, you can see that there's 2 damage for that one here. Okay, so let's walk through an example here. And we've got a Shadow Undead combating against Cormac here, and you'll notice that the Shadow Undead has Weaken 1. And let's just assume that Cormac is just really having a bad time and the roll is not going his way. And the way that we will track damage is just by adding damage points to the hero. So whenever the Shadow Undead attacks Cormac, let's say that they actually do damage of Weaken 1, then we take a weakened condition marker and we place it on the hero card. And notice it is equivalent to 1 damage and the weakened condition. Now let's assume that a thug leader shows up and starts shooting the crossbow, and he can do 2 points of damage, or even if a miss, he can do 1 point of damage. So as they're fighting, let's say the thug leader does 2 points of damage and maybe even a 3rd point of damage. Now certain cards and actions can allow you to gain hit points. So for example, this potion of healing, your hero or a hero adjacent to your hero regains 2 hit points. And in that case you could, if we're tracking by adding damage to the hero, we would just take the damage off. So you can do that for the regular damage tokens, but you cannot do that for the weakened damage token, because only the healing surge or something that removes a condition can take this damage off. So let's first talk about the healing surge. And let's imagine a situation in which Cormac has been battling the monsters. And we have a situation like this. We have 2 weakened tokens here, 2 weakened conditions, and then during the attack, the thug leader, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, plus 6, 7 damage, and the thug leader hits him one more time, and he is up to 8 damage, which is equal to his hit points. So we lay that hero on his side, and he's knocked out. Then on his turn, the first thing, if you're down to 0 hit points, which is this condition, you need to use a healing surge. So in the healing surge, the first thing that you would do is you would remove the weakened tokens. So when we are adding damage to the card, you would just take those tokens off. So essentially, you've removed the condition and the damage that's associated with that condition. Then you apply your healing surge hit points. So the surge value here is 4, so we would remove 1, 2, 3, 4 damage from the character. This would mean that Cormac is now able to take 6 more points of damage. So let's take a look at one other situation here, and you've got a paladin that has a total of 10 hit points, and we're again accumulating damage using that method of tracking, and he's got 2 weakened conditions with 1 damage each on them, and he has 3 damage tokens that he's already taken. But the paladin has the ability to end 1 condition on your hero, and your hero then regains 2 hit points. So you can end 1 condition, so this token is just taken off the card. So that really removes 1 damage and ends that particular condition. Notice he had 2 weakened conditions, so that still, the weakened condition still remains, the second one does. But he can regain 2 hit points because he had 2 accumulated. Now he could not just remove this as a hit point because the card does not allow him to end 2 conditions, only 1. Okay, so adding damage tokens is probably the easiest way to understand how the weakened condition works. However, you might prefer to use the other approach. So if you have what you need, then I hope you enjoyed the video. But if you want to see, I'll walk through that same example by removing the tokens or flipping them over. So stay tuned and I'll show you those examples as well. Okay, so let's walk through our example with the cleric using the style where we flip over the shields. So again, we start off with the shields showing up as if everything is healthy, and we have a total of 8 hit points. Now, when the cleric takes a weakened condition, so let's say the Shadow Undead applies the weakened, then what we would do is we would apply the weakened token here and remove one of the shield tokens. So in essence, it's as if the shield were flipped over. When another weakened condition is applied, we would remove another token, and we do that for every weakened token that is applied. Now, let's say as the battle goes on, the cleric takes damage from perhaps this thug leader and eventually is knocked out. So for each damage that he takes, we just flip over that shield, and you can easily see how much damage he's taking and how much he has left to take. So of course the cleric is knocked out. Now the question is, what happens when we apply the healing surge? So as we apply the healing surge on his turn, we remove the weakened tokens first. We'll remove both of those conditions, and in doing so, we will flip over or add to the new shields that are healthy, if you will. And so now there's a total of 8 shields. So there should always be a total of 8 tokens on the board. Okay, now you apply the healing surge equal to the healing surge value. So here we do 4. So we flip over 4 of these little shields. So depending upon the terminology or verbiage that you want to use, there are now 6 points worth of damage that the cleric can now take. And that's exactly the same as we had when we were showing it the other way by accumulating damage. So that second approach is probably what matches best with the artwork, given the fact that the shields now have the damage kind of visualization on the back. But let's walk through the one where you just remove the shields from the card. So this one's a little bit kind of strange in the sense that when we take apply a weakened condition, we would remove the token, and you have this kind of a dissimilarity with this artwork here, but that's how you would apply it. So we have another weakened condition, we would remove another shield, and as he takes damage, we would just remove those shields, and finally when he gets knocked out, he has 2 condition markers still left on, but he has all the damage took, or the hit points are gone, the shields. So now as we apply the healing surge, the first thing that we do is that we remove each of these conditions. But for each condition, we would add a shield. So there's 1 shield, and then we add another shield for the other condition. So the key point being is you would always replace a shield for the token. And then we apply the healing surge value of 4. So once again, we wind up with a total of 6 hit points. So in our example, when this character has 8 hit points and was knocked out with 2 weakened condition markers on them, if you apply the healing surge, which gives you 4 hit points, then the end result will be a total of 6. So I hope that was helpful. Enjoy playing Mad Mage.